Stop using church intimidation, control and manipulation. Jezebel and all them spirits fall back, not trying to hear it. Go with Jesus, walk in peace. On your pew can sit that beast that we're fighting in the world. I'm that JC Supergirl.
Hello, everybody. God bless you. Welcome again to the Crystal Jones Show, the show that's all about life's balance. I'm your talk show host, Pastor Crystal Jones. Welcome. Good to see you all again. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your prayers and your well wishes. It is much appreciated. I hope everybody's doing well. We're going into the winter season now. Everybody stock up, stock up, stock up. Let you all know on my social pages, please start stocking up. You see that they're warning of what's going on in the world today. The food is going to be scarce because they are going to be going again on another lockdown. So please stock up. I tell you, mostly everybody I know have started stocking up. Get a closet in your home and start getting together some canned soups and things like that. Go to the stores that you're members of, your BJ's, your Costco, all these different places, and get those things because they're on sale and you can get large portions of them. Also, a lot of churches are feeding people between this week and next week for the holiday. They're going to be giving out food. Some have outdoor events that they're having between today and next week. So go out and get, whether it's hot food or cold food, go out and stock up. Remember, some of you have people in your home who are not well, or you're taking care of some people. So you're going to need as much as you can get. Stock up on everything, your drinks, the sanitizers, everything. And eat healthy. Please eat healthy and drink your teas. Put your ginger in it. I drink my ginger tea just about every day with lemon and sometimes I put the little pimento peppers in there and everything, and the fresh peppermint or mint leaves, and eat healthy, and you have your wipes when you're at work and everything like that. Wipe down everything. Do all that you can do, and be very careful and cautious. I know that they're saying that they're going to be giving out the shots and things. See what's in those shots. See what's in them, okay? Don't be quick to accept anything from anybody. Make sure, look and see what's in there, because some of the ingredients that I'm seeing, I don't know. But anyway, be safe and pray and ask God for direction in all things, because this is a time that was prophesied in the Bible. So today, what I wanted to talk to you all about, I wanted to give you some history in the Bible. I wanted to talk today about the Maccabees, which were a priestly group of people. They were in between the testaments. And some of the things that I'm going to lead up to with that will explain to you what that was about, those different nations that surrounded the Israelites. And what happened as far as when we were a nation of people that were together with all 12 tribes, and then suddenly we weren't, because we went into many different captivities. And this here is the last captivity. So, and also that we who are people of color, a lot of us are from the 12 tribes. We may look differently because we were scattered. I explained to you the Dominicans, the Hawaiians, the Haitians, this group, that group. A lot of us are of the 12 tribes of Israel. So this is not to promote, I want people to understand, this is definitely not to promote prejudice or anything like that. But for so many ages, we as people of color have not known who we are or where we originated from, how all of this came, to be. So I wanted to make sure that our people are continuing to wake up to understand who we are. Our lives always mattered. Okay. Our our history book, our greatest history book, is the Bible. It's about us. We looked differently back then. Remember, when creation started, we started out Black. Now, when we scattered to the other nations, we became Asians, Hispanics, this group, that group, the other group, the Indians, this one, that one. And I explained to you that the Indians that were already here, when they discovered this country, they call themselves discovering this country, or well, they came to see it. I guess they had heard about this so-called New World, but the Indians were here, and they were Black Indians. They were from one of the 12 tribes of Israel. They were a scattered group of people, but they had already been here for hundreds of years, and they were trading with the Africans. Because remember, there's three groups of people that came off of Noah's Ark: Ham, Shem, and Japheth. The Hamites are the African people. Um, the Shemites are the Israelites who are from Africa, in the area of Africa. And then Japheth are the ones that more so intermingle with the white nations, the Romans, and when you hear about Alexander the Great, Herod, and all of those are those other nations that are more European, that type of thing. So, but originally we all came from Africa. Even Esau, our brother, we are all we're really one race of people, but we got scattered at different times. There was a time we got scattered from the Tower of Babel. Another time I will do a talk, a history on that. But originally, when God created us from the dust of the earth, the dust, the ground, the dirt of the earth is not white. We originally were Black people. How our complexion started getting lighter is some of it was through things like vitiligo, leprosy, this, that, the other. And so then you got the nations who were, the whiter nations, they moved more towards the Caucasus Mountains. That's why they call them Caucasian, but originally Caucasian people were Black Asian people. So, so now we have the scattering of the nation of people who really are one people. But what we're experiencing now is that fight between Esau and Jacob. Now, what I wanted to do is to go with you to how some of this first started out, which will start off in Genesis, the 15th chapter. And we're going to go verse 1 through 14. So you can get your Bibles. Today, I'm going to go into the apocryphal books too. Those were the books that were originally in the Bible through King James. He had gotten together with scholars to put the Bible together because he saw that the Israelites, who at the time were Black people, were going to be scattered. We were being scattered, and that we wouldn't know who we were. Because, of course, when we came over here to America, we were stolen from our own land. So, of course, they're not going to, a lot of times our people say, oh, how come they don't teach us Black history in school? Let's be real, y'all. If they kidnapped us and stuff like that, come on, they're not going to tell you the truth about how they washed out our history. Okay. So I'm going to go with you today with some more history. As you all know, I love history in the Bible so that you can know the history behind who we are and what you see going on today in the world. Now, Genesis, the 15th chapter is talking about Abraham, our father. The Israelites, our forefather is Abraham. He was a Hebrew Israelite, but originally he was a Chaldean. Chaldeans are Iraqi people, they're Black people, and God separated him from that nation of people because remember, they served idols. And within those 10 commandments, that's what God tells us. You shall have no other God before me. You shall not set up no graven images. You shall not bow down to them and worship them. So some of the practices that you see in today's churches, bowing down before idols and stuff like that, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who is our God, he says that is idol worship. So, of course, you have within, the Roman teaching and things like that, which is based on a lot of, idol worship and stuff like that. They decided to remove the apocryphal books from the Bible, the original Bible. So when we go back to that and we read these books that were actually there, they give you an outline of what exactly went on from the beginning. It gives you an outline of Genesis. I've explained to you all, if you go to the book of Jasher, that explains to you a little more in-depth Genesis, what happened with Abraham, the flood and all of that kind of stuff. Now, it says in Genesis 15, after these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, because remember, his name was Abram until the Lord changed it to Abraham. He was the father of many nations. So Abram in a vision saying, fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. So he's going now into a vision with the Lord, and the Lord is telling him who he is. He's saying to him, don't fear. I'm talking to you. Yes, I'm God, but I'm talking to you. But I am your shield, I'm your protector, and I'm your rewarder. So Abram said, Lord, what will you give me, seeing I go childless? Because at that time, Sarah couldn't have children. So he said to him, the steward of my house is Eliezer of Damascus. So Eliezer had been Abram's steward for many years. So he figured, well, my wife and I can't have children. So why doesn't the Lord just give the blessing to the steward who has been faithful to me in the house? That goes to show you that Abraham had a good heart. And so he said, and Abram said, behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir. So the Lord said, no, I get what you're saying, but that's not my plan. See, sometimes we try to tell God how to bless us and what our plan is, but he says, no, I get you, Abraham. Okay, but no, that's not my plan. So he said, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels, from your own seed, that shall be your heir. Your own, you're going to have a child of your own, you and Sarah. And he brought him forth abroad, meaning he brought Abraham forth abroad and said, look now toward the heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. Can you number the stars? And he said unto him, so shall your seed be. In other words, you're going to have so many groups of people that come from your seed. You're not even going to be able to number them, like the stars of the heavens. You're not going to be able to number them, to number them. And so he believed in the Lord, and the Lord counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees. So he brought him from being a Chaldean from the land of Ur, okay, to give thee this land to inherit it. In other words, he brought him from his homeland to a greater land so that he would inherit the promise that God had for him. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, this is God talking to him, take a heifer of 3 years old, and a she goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. This was the offering that God wanted Abraham to give up to him. And he took unto him all these and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds he divided not. When the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. When the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. Now, see, sometimes God will give you prophecy for your day and time, but it can be for many generations to come. So he was letting him know, your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. Black people, Dominican people, people of color, we're in a land that is not ours, okay? And we should and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Okay, so we may not be in slavery, so to speak, for 400 years, but forms of slavery or forms of serving other nations that we should not have been serving in the first place, because we had our own land. But because of the rebellion and the disobedience of our people, over and over and over again, we fell into the lands and the hands of the wrong people. Okay, so he said, and also that nation whom they shall serve, we've served the nations for a long time, will I judge. So the nations that you see right now are in judgment. They're in judgment. The fires, the this, the that, and the other, pestilence, all of that is going to increase, because through the transatlantic trade, the transatlantic slave trade, the Spanish Inquisition, all of these different things that were against our people, that has to be played out, because God says he will judge those people that did that to our people who went into many nations. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with what? Great substance. It happened before when we went into captivity in Egypt. We came out with great substance. Every time we went into captivity, we came out with great substance. Again, we're in a land that is not ours. When we first got here, we spoke Hebrew. They played it off and said we were dumb, stupid people, and that we looked like monkeys and apes and all of this, and that we couldn't do anything on our own. Yet they patented everything that we created, the tools and everything that we used to cultivate their land, as they quote unquote called us lazy. But why did you come and get us to enslave us if we were so lazy? Why is it that that nation of people couldn't do it themselves? So we were the ones that created and made the inventions that are here. All right. So I wanted to say also about it that he said he would judge those nations, but some of the nations are smart enough to realize that if you repent for the things you've done and make it right with your brother, God can forgive you. So you see the nations now, Ghana asking us to come back to our homeland, and in different places in Africa giving us dual citizenship, because they know we came from there. Even though they may be Hamites and we may be Shemites, still we came from that land. And at one time we used to trade and do things, together. So, and like I said, everybody basically comes from that Eve gene. There's an Eve gene that we all come from. So we're all really one nation. But this is how the struggle began, through Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All right. So now he says, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. So before we even leave here, because we see the crumbling of the nations happening, so we don't know when we may have to flee from the nation. And when we leave, we will leave with great substance. If you, as you see it now, a lot of people of color are making, the Lord is blessing us to go into our own businesses now, because we can't depend on this economy and this system. We have to depend on the Lord, our God. We have to use our talents to be, be able to prove that we would experience. Now you to this go to Gen 25. It's Abraham. Okay. Now we go to 25, right? Now it says 25, Gen 5 and 19th, 19 first. It says there are the generations of Isaac's son. Got Isaac 40 years of Rebecca to the daughter of Syrian, the sister Syrian, entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebecca, his wife, conceived. So now we're going from Abraham to Isaac. So Isaac, again, his wife was barren. Sarah was barren, but then the Lord said that she would have a child, and she did. She had Isaac. So now we see Isaac. Again, his wife is barren. And the children, okay, so now Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebecca, his wife, conceived. So prayer changes things, okay? And the children struggled together within her. They were struggling. They were throwing down in the womb. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. So at that time, Shem was the Melchizedek at that time. He was the priest and king over the earth. So she went and talked to Shem about it. And Shem said, 2 nations are in thy womb. Can you imagine? It didn't say just 2 kids, 2 babies, 2 nations. 2 nations of people are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people. And the elder shall serve who? The younger. All right. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. The first came out red all over like a hairy garment. Red represents the white nation of people. They call them red because they're not really white, like paper white. But when you see them, they have like their red blood or whatever you could see within their face, because they're lighter than I am. So they are known as, we call them the white nation of people. The first came out red and hairy all over like a garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came out his brother, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called what? Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. So Jacob was the younger brother. But the older, according to the prophecy up here, said, the elder shall serve the younger. So Esau is going to serve Jacob. But remember, in 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, Esau is the end of this world. This world as it is now is a gimme mine now world. That's the attitude of those who come from that line of Esau. They want everything. They feel they're above everybody. They don't have to go by the law, but everybody else does. Not all of them, But that's the basic concept of their thought. They buy into that. This is why you see these, people calling them the Karens and stuff like that, because they have that mentality. That's where they come from. That mindset, that thought process is, give me mine now. I'm better than everybody. I'm above everybody. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Don't care what nobody say. Everybody else is beneath me. Okay. That's that Esau mentality. Okay. Now, that mentality is going to change, because remember, we're going through the tribulation period, and they're going to see that they bought into the wrong property. They brought into the wrong scheme plan. They drank the Kool-Aid, because they're going to find out that that mentality cares for no one. So they are going to become the new people that are going to suffer the consequences of what they've done to others. So the scripture says Esau is the end of this world, but Jacob is the beginning of the next. Now, I'm going to take you to the book of Maccabees, first Maccabees. And let me say before I do this, I love everybody. I don't care what color you are, nothing like that. If you abide by the will of the Lord, you treat people right, you do what you're supposed to, amen. But I'm just breaking down to you what is going on in the earth today. It's that fight and that struggle between Esau and Jacob. All right. Now, first Maccabees, this is to show you why we got into the troubles we got into. We really can't blame them. We can't blame the white man. We can't blame this one. It's our disobedience that brought us here. Are we supposed to stay in this? No. Continue to fight against injustice, but do it God's way. Do it how he leads you. I'm not saying you shouldn't protect yourself and all of that. By all means, do what you got to do according to God's will. But don't take on that mentality to go out in the streets and start killing people and crazy stuff like that. That is never going to be God's way of doing things. Okay. But this is the type of disobedience that, got us to, the situation with how we are today. Now, Maccabees explains basically about a man who was a priest, basically was in the line of the Levitical priesthood, and how at that time you had the people who were under the Roman Greek influence. They tried to change our ways. They tried to change the Bible and the laws and things like that, like a lot like you see today. Now, first Maccabees, the first chapter, it says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kedem, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. Okay. All right. So he made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. He went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted in his heart and was lifted up. Okay, so now you see he is the first over Greece, over that, that Roman Greek influence. All right, so because he was conquering and going forth to conquer and all of that kind of stuff, he got lifted up and said, yeah, I got this, right? All right, so those are more what you see, okay, the Greeks and stuff like that, those are the white nations. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries to him. A lot like how they do today, right? They set up, we got to be taxed by this person, taxed by that person, and all of that kind of stuff. That comes from that Roman, Greek, and whatnot mentality. All right. So And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries, nations, and king who became his tributaries. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he would die. Then he called his servants who were honorable and brought up with him from his youth. And he parted the kingdom amongst them because he knew he was going to die. So Alexander, he reigned 12 years, then he died. His servants bare rule over one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So now they like, oh, we got this, y'all. So did their sons after them for many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth because of this way of doing things, conquering nations and being greedy and taking tributaries and just taking things from people and stuff. That's the mindset, is to take over people's lands, okay? Because Esau and Jacob, remember, there was a fight and a struggle between them because Esau lost his birthright and Jacob took it because Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. All right. Now, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go up and make a covenant with the heathen. So see, this is where our people started messing up. In those days went there out of Israel, our people, the Israelites, wicked men. They persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Heathen are wild people that, excuse me, they don't go by any laws or anything. They just wild, right? And these people were wild. And the surrounding nations around us at the time, a lot of them were not obeying the ways and the commandments of the Lord. He persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have much sorrow. So they're mad because Israel had come back to the Lord, because Israel had a lot of history of leaving the Lord, coming back, leaving, backsliders. They backslidden in heart and spirit and all of that. So the ones that had come back to the Lord, of them were, and they were like, nah, let's go back to being wild. So this device pleased them. Then certain people were so forward hearing that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. So it was our own people that were selling us out to do stupidness, right? A lot like now today, you see some of these movements are sellouts. They're not about our people. I don't care what title they put on it. They're selling us out with foolishness because their aim is to kill off our people. Some of them are against the Black man. They don't want us to procreate. And I'm talking about of our own people too. Don't want us to procreate or anything. They want to, promote where no children will be born, if you know what I mean. Now, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. That was when they had naked, sports and stuff like that, all kind of freaky stuff. That's they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem. So that had, they were doing all kind of weird stuff then too. And they made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant. Remember when they circumcised the men and things like that, those are health. That's a ritual that was amongst our people. And also it helped a lot of our males as far as not getting sick. It has a whole lot of things that go into that circumcision of the male and, his male parts, and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of two realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen, and a great navy. And he made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities of the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. This is again Maccabees, first Maccabees, the first chapter. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. So now they fooling around with these people, but now these people are coming up against them to make war against the Israelites, and entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof. Remember, in the wilderness tabernacle, when we had fled from Egypt and we left, we had a tabernacle that we set up in the wilderness, and each piece of furniture represented something. When you entered into the wilderness tabernacle, that first room was where the brazen altar was, and you put the sacrifices on the altar. Also, the lavalier, where they washed their hands. The priests washed their hands because only the priests went inside the tabernacle. And then you went into the holy place, where on one side you had the lampstand where the lights were, the candles were lit. Today they call it the Feast of Lights, or some call it Hanukkah. Then on the right side, you had the table of showbread and the wine. And then you had, just before the holiest of holies, you had the altar of incense, which represented the prayers going up to God. So these people who came and entered proudly, okay, they were under this Antiochus. But why did he feel that he could come in to the sanctuary and take away the golden altar and the candlestick of light, which I told you about, and the vessels thereof? Because our people made them feel that way. They aligned themselves with the heathen, and these people came and desecrated our sanctuary, okay? And the table of showbread, the pouring vessels, the vials, the censers of gold, the veil, the crown, the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also, he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly, like, I could take everything that they got, right? Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were, so that the princes and elders, they mourned, the virgins, the young men were made feeble, the beauty of women was changed. Everything changed when you messed with our temple, our belief system, our place of sacrifice, our place of worship. When we get away from God, we ain't the same. Look at our people, the things that they're doing. We may still be able to sing because God has given us that gift. Can't nobody sing like us and worship like us, because we were meant for that. But when we get away from it and we start doing all this crazy stuff, judgment will follow. When we start making up songs to say things against our women, that they're hoes and all of this kind of stuff, judgment will fall. Anything that we do that's against the makeup of God, judgment will follow that act. So when he took all this away, he went to his own land. He spoke very proudly. Therefore, there was great mourning in Israel. And so the princes and elders mourned, and everybody was mourning. And every bridegroom took up lamentation that sat in the marriage chamber. Everybody was in heaviness. People that were getting ready to get married and everything, they were just, it was terrible. So the land was moved for the inhabitants thereof. All the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. So when our people do these things, confusion, covers the face of the people. So it affects all of us when our people are doing things that are ill. It affects us because now we have to get you out of that. Those of us who are following the Lord, now we have to pray and and pray that you come back to the Lord, that you come to your senses, that you do what you're supposed to do. So it affects everybody. So that being selfish is not going to work. It hasn't worked in the past and it won't work now. Neither will it work in the future. And after 2 years, the king set his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude. He spoke peaceable words to them, but it was all deceit. Just like when they have these different elections and things, let's be real, y'all. They don't even be having us on their agenda. They don't have us on no agenda. They don't. Okay. They promise us this and now, oh yeah, we need the voter, the black people, this, that, and other. And they get in office and oh, whoops, 4 years is up. Oops, I don't have enough time. Oh, I'm busy with this. Oh, I'm busy with that. Because they can't save us. Only God can. It's up to us to return to the Lord. He can make us prosperous. He will make room for us. He will make the people do right by us if we do right by him. Because these people have it in them just to keep colonizing and doing things like that. They can't get away from that. That's in them. Okay. So when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set fire to it. He pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. The women and children they took captive, possessed the cattle. Oh Lord, they builded the city of David with a great and strong wall with many towers and made it strong, made it a stronghold for them. They put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves there. They stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there. And so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary and an evil adversary to Israel. So they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it. Think about what they're doing now in a lot of these churches. Okay. Big and small, not just the big churches, and the small churches, scamming people, you know, being bought out by officials and things like that. And our people sitting up in there in their congregations acting like they don't understand what's going on. Why are you sitting there under these fake prophets that are misleading you and misguiding you? They're not leading you to the ways of the Lord. They're not even awakening you to who you are. They just keep glossing over, oh, that happened a long time ago. Oh, this, oh, forget about that. No, you can't forget about it, because we have to go back and realize the things we've done wrong are the same things that we've been doing wrong today. So we have to correct those things so that we can get back on track as a people and move forward. And no government is going to help us. The only government that's going to help us is the government of the Lord himself. So insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. This is where we started fleeing. This was another area. That's why you don't see our people there today. And the ones who are our people coming from Ethiopia and stuff like that, they're lying to them, telling them, oh, we trying to look through your records to see how your bloodline lines up to be an Israelite. You'll never be what they are. They're Israelis, you're Israelites. They're not going to find you being related to them. Why? Because they've taken over the land. The same thing like in America. You think they're going to say, okay, yeah, well, the people of color, y'all are all y'all are in charge now. No, they're not going to do that, because this is Esau's time to rule and reign. Esau is the end of this world, but Jacob is the beginning of the next. So we're Jacob. Our time is coming. All right. They know it. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to continue to try to trick us and fool us. Those who are with them, there are those who are from the line of Esau and whatnot that are not with them. So now it says, in so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem, whereupon the city was made a habitant of strangers and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. So we're a stranger to where we came from. If I walked into Jerusalem today, I would be a stranger to Jerusalem, because my people were chased out of there. People fled, they ran. So I wouldn't know Jerusalem today like my people did. And I've traced my people back there. And I know they, we're going to be a stranger to our own land. So her sanctuaries weighed lace like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning. We don't even celebrate our feasts no more. I read to you the 7 feasts that God told us to celebrate. And these are not the feasts that they have here for us. That's not us. Those are spinoffs to trick us again to go out and buy, you know, different things so that we can make them rich. And our people are still going for the same okie dokie. All right. So now, this person who was wicked, Antiochus, he wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. So now he's going to try to call himself uniting us, but not for the right reason. Just because they say that there's going to be a new order and everybody does not mean that they have us in their best interest. And everyone should leave his laws. This is what he's telling them. So he's telling us that we should leave the laws and commandments of the Lord. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king, Antiochus. Yea, many also of the Israelite consented to his religion. So our people even consented to this foolishness like we be consented today. Stop consenting to this nonsense. When it's wrong, it's wrong. And sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. The Sabbath is still the 7th day, which is Saturday. It never became the first day of the week. Yes, you can still gather and have service and stuff like that, but that's not the Sabbath day. God rested on that Sabbath day, the 6th day. It's Saturday, right? For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. These laws now were strange. Are y'all noticing a strangeness in what they're saying is okay now? Years ago, a lot of these things weren't okay. Now we got all these strange laws. So they want everybody to become this one united front of foolery and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple. When we used to go to the temple and whatnot, and we would offer our offerings to the Lord, they didn't want us to do that no more. Coming to a neighborhood near you. Okay, they starting with this shutdown with the pandemic and all of that, but wait till this thing escalates. It's not going to go back to normal, folks. It's not. And that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. They wanted us to profane our Sabbaths and our festival days, which is happening today. Now to celebrate Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all of that kind of stuff. That's idol. That ain't got nothing to do with us. They pollute the sanctuary and the holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh. There's a reason why we weren't supposed to eat that pork. Because I don't know about you, but the times that I've had pork, I've gotten very sick. There's something in that pork that is not good for us. And unclean beasts, they started doing that. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised. Now we couldn't circumcise our children. The children had to be uncircumcised. Make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanity. So this is what is going on now. Okay. They get you to stay home, stay away from each other, stay out the churches, stay away from everybody. Why? They're able to control you now. All right. So now they can get together in place. Now they want to put on you, you have to take this shot. But what's in these shots? Vaccines don't heal people. They don't. And when you see what's in these shots and things like that, you might not want that going in your body, especially if it's going to mess with your DNA. All right. A lot of these movies that have been out and are out, The Walking Dead and stuff like that, We all thought that that was a joke. Like, oh, wow, look at this. Ha ha. Okay. When people start getting these shots and things, and you're not checking into it and stuff, when it mess with people's DNA and you start seeing people wig out and look crazy and stuff like that, it may seem funny now and like, oh, Crystal, come on now. Okay. So it says, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. How long before they start telling you, if you don't take this, you're gonna die. You can't eat. You can't come to the store. You can't go to work. You can't do this. You can't do that. That's just like in Revelation, it say he causes both great and small to receive a mark in their right hand or their forehead, without which they can neither buy nor sell. Wake up. It's right before us. Okay. So in the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law. The ones that forsake the law are going to gather together with a lot of foolishness. And so they committed evils in the land. Okay, whoever you obey, his servants you are to obey. If you start with that stuff, that's what you're going to become. And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor. So we had to flee. We had to flee. Now, I'm reading through this and I'm only seeing Israelites. I'm not seeing Israelis. I'm seeing Israelites. Because remember, Esau lost his birthright. So this is why he goes forward conquering all these lands. He just has to conquer. He always has to take somebody's land. Give me that land. Give me. He always have to conquer the land because he lost his birthright. He has no land. He has no possession like Jacob does. Okay. So this is why you see the conquering, the colonization. Everywhere they go, they continue to do that. The ones over there trying to conquer the land in Kenya, trying to colonize that place. Everywhere they go, they keep trying to colonize everything. This is the fight between Esau and Jacob. That's what's going on in the earth. So he drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor, for cover. Okay. So this is why today you don't see our people in the land like they once were when that was our land. So now you see another group of people who are European there. All right. But they're not the original Israelites. The original Israelites that left Egypt and these other places are people of color. All right. Now, the 15th day of the month Caslu in the 140th and 50th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side. They burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. So now they're increasing what we used to do inside the wilderness tabernacle. Now they're going to burn incense all the time, all everywhere, and all of that for their own purposes. Okay. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they tore up the books of the law. Genesis, right? Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. They tore up the books of the law. Those are our law books. That's the Tanakh. Those are the books of Moses, as they call them. They're called different things. Why did they tear it up? Okay. They burn it with fire. And whosoever was found with the book of the testament, or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. Don't you see our people that are being killed for reading the Bible in different countries and things like that? That's the same thing that's going on today. They don't want people to know the laws and the ways of the Lord. They don't want us reading the Apocrypha. That's why it was taken out of the King James Version of the Bible. King James, as I mentioned to you all, he was a Black Scottish nobleman, and he was killed because he was against the things that they were doing. He was against the Greek and Roman things that they, the idol worship and the things that they would do. He was against that stuff. So this is why you see what's going on today. It didn't just start, y'all. It's been going on for quite some time. So they did this by authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now, the 5 and 20th day of the month did they sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. Wow. Okay. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean things. So there was those that still held to the ways of the Lord. Will you still hold on? Will you still hold on when they tell you can't read your Bible no more? When they tell you, come, we're going to have a burn fest in the street. Throw your Bible in the street. Are you going to hold on to the ways and the commandments of the Lord when they tell you, if you don't take this shot, if you don't take that shot, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, that you're going to be killed? Because we're not going back to things as usual. They may even fool you for a time and say, oh yeah, okay, well, things are pretty much back the way they were. It's not going to be, because they're doing this for a purpose. Okay, and it's not for what people are thinking. They know biblical prophecy. They know their time is short. They know that we've awakened to the truth. So they're going to continue to come after our people. They're going to continue. They're not, if you notice, whenever people come into office, none of them say that they're going to stop the racial injustice of Black men being arrested, or men of color being arrested for no reason, because that's part of their plan. That it's not going to stop, y'all. It's not. So you're going to have to find out about the history behind all of this and to serve the Lord, because your days are numbered before this thing really comes to a head. And that's when the Bible says the Lord will shorten those days, lest no flesh will be saved. And that's when we will go into the wilderness experience. We will be together for a period of time. And then Christ will return to the earth with us, with him. And that's when he will cleanse this earth. Because remember, the Bible said, behold, I saw a new heaven and a new earth. So a lot of this is judgment, but a lot of this is the recreation is going to be of a new world. The world where Christ will rule and reign as priest and king. So God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. I love you all. Thank you for joining the Crystal Jones Show. Continue to tune in. We have new episodes now weekly. We are now a weekly show. Continue to pray for us, and you stay balanced and stay in the word and in the will of God is my prayer. God bless you. God keep you. Stay balanced. God bless.
Using church intimidation, control and manipulation. Jezebel and all them spirits fall back, not trying to hear it. Go with Jesus, walk in peace. On your pew can sit that beast that we're fighting in the world. I'm that JC Supergirl, Jesus Christ, belt of truth, arm of God, I'm slaying you. Power of the word, two-edged sword. MC Heaven rocks for her Lord. Thought they crept in unaware, didn't see the gatekeeper standing right there, not getting down with your tactics, undoctrinal.